Okay, this is an interview with my Aunt Marie McDaniel Howard. How are you, Aunt Marie?
I'm fair.
Well, you're doing pretty good. How old are you right now?
91.
91.
I'll be in 5 months. I'll be 92.
Almost 92. You're almost the age that my daddy was when he went home to glory.
Yeah. He liked a month or something of being.
Almost,
He died in.
almost 93.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Died in New
He
Year's
died
Eve.
New Year's Eve,
New
and
Year's
he
Eve
would have
birth-
been on the 21st of February. He would have been 90.
If he's still living, he'd be over 100 years old today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
101.
And the reason I'm interviewing you, you're the last relative I have left that knows our family history.
Well, I don't know much, but I can tell you what I know.
What's the earliest memories you have in your life?
Back going to Grandma McDaniel's.
Grandma McDaniel.
Yeah.
And so she was still living when you were born.
Oh yeah. She died in December before my dad died in March.
Where did she live?
Burning Springs.
Where at in Burning Springs?
That little house that sits over in Foggertown. I mean on Foggertown Road. That sits over. I think Clinton Johnson's daddy owns it. I think or did own it.
Is that the house that my mom and dad moved into after they got married?
Yeah. And they took care of Grandma McDaniel's son.
Did she stay with them in that house?
Yeah. And then when they left, Aunt May and Uncle George come back, and they was there.
Well, her husband was already dead, your grandfather.
Oh yeah, I don't remember him.
What was his name?
That was Granville Pearl.
Granville Pearl McDaniel. How many children?
No, that was T.C. T.C. McDaniel. Granville Pearl was the great-grandpa.
No, Granville Pearl was your grandpa. He was married to Laveda.
Yeah. Well, I'm mixed up. See, I told you I'm
Okay.
getting mixed up.
And they had a whole bunch of youngins.
Yeah, they sure did.
Your daddy was the youngest?
Youngest boy.
The youngest boy.
Aunt Kate was the youngest woman.
How many of them could you name their names?
I could name them all if I can think right.
You're like me, you know a lot, you just can't think of it.
It's, well, let's see, Uncle Rance, Uncle Tom, Uncle George, and my dad. There was 4 boys.
But a bunch of girls.
And then they had Aunt Daisy, Aunt Dora, Aunt Martha, Aunt Mert, Aunt Larm, and Aunt Kate.
Now, there's some of them that I knew. I got to meet Uncle Rance a couple of times. He lived in California at that time.
Yeah.
And he came back to Hamilton to visit. In fact, I got video of him, actually, old 8mm film of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Aunt Myrtle, who lived there in Hamilton, I knew her. Aunt Laurie.
Aunt Laura was there.
I knew her. And Aunt Dora.
Yeah.
Her name is Clarkston, right? Dora Clarkston. Which one run the store? Was it?
Aunt Dora.
Dora.
Clark.
And Aunt Kate, she was the younger one.
Youngest one, and she lived in out west someplace.
Las Vegas, I believe.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I know it was out west, but and then she had a son, Thorne.
Now, none of them are living now.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Well, Aunt Kate would have been the last one. She'd be
Yeah.
older than my daddy, so she'd been
Yeah,
over 100 years old. My goodness. All right, let's, before him, before Granville Pearl, that was Thomas Cornett. Do you know anything about where he came from?
No, not really. Only what I've heard.
What have you heard?
Barlin. He came from Barlin, but into what was it, Virginia, or
Okay, and then migrated over into Kentucky.
and migrated in Kentucky.
Do you know anything about who he married?
He was supposed to marry an Indian.
An Indian.
Yeah.
We've got pictures of them, don't we?
Yeah.
She was kind of dark-skinned.
Yeah, but Grandpa McDaniel was too. I mean, you can tell that in those pictures I've got.
So, yeah,
See,
you have a
son.
picture of Grandpa McDaniel and the great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Great-grandfather was very light-skinned, like a European.
Mm-hmm.
But your grandfather, Granville Pearl, was very dark.
Very dark. And so was my dad, and that's why they called him Nig. Nig Mac.
So he wasn't Negro. He was
No,
he
he
was
just a Nig.
part Cherokee.
He was Nig. I mean, that was what his nickname was.
Well, let's go back to Granville Pearl and Levada again. Granville Pearl, did he die young?
I don't know how old he was, but it was the year that I was born. Before I was born, he was killed.
He was killed?
He was murdered, yeah.
He was murdered. Do they know who murdered him and why?
Yeah. Sparks. Israel Sparks.
Why did him? Shot him with a gun or what?
I think so. They was on horses, but his horse come home without him, and they knew something was wrong. And they had come down Bray Creek, and in that creek, that's where they found my grandpa.
How did they know that was the guy that killed him?
Because he was with him. He was seen with him, and he owed my grandpa $800, and they found the note in that creek under a rock. Now, that's what I've always been told. I don't.
And any idea what year that would have been?
That was in 1924. That was the year that I was born.
Wow. And the $800 back then, that was a big old debt.
That was a big debt.
You could have bought a big, nice house for $800 back then.
Oh, yeah.
Where did your grandfather get all that kind of money to be able to loan it?
Well, they had run the stills, and it was government in Steel Branch. Now on that, you see, back
Stills, you're talking about?
They had liquor that they made government liquor.
So they were not moonshiners.
They weren't moonshiners. It was legal.
See, this is the first time I've ever heard that our ancestors made liquor.
Yeah, and that's the reason it was called Steel Branch. That was where it was at, because there's a spring up there that runs year round, and that's where they made the liquor, because of the water was running all the time, coming up out the ground.
Evidently, he did very well and was able to buy a lot of property.
Oh yeah.
They
owned all the way from, where they lived in Burning Springs, all the way down to White's Bridge, down Sexton Creek. It turned down Sexton Creek.
On both sides of the road?
On both sides of the road.
All the way to the top of the hill, probably.
Yeah. And then Grandma divided it with most of them. I mean,
Okay, the place where your mother, my granny, lived, did they inherit that?
Yeah, my dad inherited it.
Your dad inherited that?
And he built the house.
Was that house already built when you were born?
I know. I was about 5 years. I can remember it being built. I said the rafters that they had down, and all the kids was jumping across. And
across the floor joists.
Yeah, those joists. And my mother held my hand.
Who built it?
Otto and my dad, I've always told.
Where did they live before they built that house?
Out where Grandma's old house was at, and that was torn down.
Out before.
If you could remember, it's out where Sherry lives.
Okay.
That house that was out there. And there was a dug well. Now, I can remember the dug well. But then when George McQueen bought the farm, he filled that up. There's no longer a dug well there.
Yeah, I remember the old well. I remember the old house had a porch that went all the way across the front of the house and down the side of the house.
Yeah.
So, were any of the children born in that house?
Oldest, Georgie and Dorothy Jean, and the last one, I guess, was all born there.
Who was Dorothy Jean?
That was, she was 10 months old when she died, my little sister.
When she died?
T always said she died of meningitis.
Yeah. But did you remember her?
Oh, yeah. I used to carry her around.
And then there was another boy born after that?
No, there was another girl.
Another girl.
See, she was, oldest was born in 29, Dorothy Jean in 30, Georgie in 31, and then she had another baby that was stillborn in 32. She had the 4 in 4 years.
Oh my goodness. What did your daddy do for a living?
He done a little of everything. He carried the mail. He worked on the telephone lines.
They had telephones back then?
Oh, yeah. I can remember the telephone. We had one, that old crank thing on the wall.
I wish you still had it.
I wish I did, too.
It'd be worth some money.
But our number was a long and 3 shorts.
A long and 3 shorts.
A long and 3 shorts. I make it long, and then you'll 3 times.
Oh, you didn't put you in?
No, you didn't put. No, you had to.
So you did a long one and then crank 2 shorts.
Yeah, 3 shorts.
Oh my goodness.
And they just dared me to get a hold of it, and every time I'd get, it was hanging on the wall in that big room, that big bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was hanging on the wall right by the door. And every time that I'd catch them outside, I was on that phone calling George McQuarrie and asking him what time it was. And he'd laugh. And he'd want to talk to me, and I couldn't talk because I was afraid they was going to catch me.
Oh my. Your daddy did several things. Was farming one of the things that he did?
Yeah, he farmed. And
how big a farm did he have there?
It was about 64 acres, I think, altogether.
Is that still intact and belongs to somebody in the family? Or has it been divided up?
Well, Sherry owns it.
Okay. Any
She bought it from her dad.
Any family members still living in the old house?
No. She's got it rented out.
Where'd you go to school?
Burning Springs.
How did you get to school?
Walked. We never missed a day on it with snow either. We waited the snow and went to school.
How long a walk was that?
1 mile.
1 mile. That's not too bad.
1 mile up there.
That'd be bad when it's raining, bad when it's cold.
Yeah. But we dressed warm enough, we never felt the cold. I said, the cold hurts me worse now than it did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we had bad winters.
Was your house heated well?
No, we had a fireplace.
A double-sided fireplace in
Yeah.
that old house. I remember that old house. But it wasn't insulated well.
Oh, no. We'd burn up on one side and freeze to death on the other.
Did they keep that fire that's going all the time? Or
All the time, day and night.
where'd you get the wood?
Wasn't no wood, it's cold.
Coal. Oh, they burned coal.
Yeah,
Where'd you get the coal?
and just buy it.
They would deliver it and...
Yeah, I know the last coal that Mom bought, Uncle Dave Buttery, that lived out in the back of us up Brushy, that first house. He went with a wagon and got a ton of coal. And it cost her $5. I mean...
$5 for a ton?
Well, it was $3 a ton, and he wanted $2 to go get it. So...
Was it in like big old chunks of coal? Or?
Yeah, big blocks of gold. Big old things.
How'd you pick that up without getting dirty?
You didn't. You just got dirty.
I remember seeing like tongs that people used to pick up blocks of ice with and pick up coal with those tongs.
Yeah. But we didn't have that. That was...
So when you picked it up, you got that dirt all over your hand.
Yeah. And I said, I love to go to Grandma's because they had gas heat, Grandma McDaniel's.
Oh.
They had little gas heaters.
What about electricity growing up? Did you have electricity in your house?
No electricity, no water, no running water. We had a well. We had to go out and draw the water up out of the well.
I remember the well there. It had a long cylinder metal thing that Granny would drop down in there, bring it up, and then fill up a bucket. Okay.
A lot of times it would be in the well, and we'd have to fish it out.
Oh my goodness. Did you grow a lot of the food that you ate?
Everything we ate, we grew. And I said the way Mom kept it, she'd hold it up in the garden. She'd put the potatoes in the hole, and then she'd have one where she'd put cabbage and turnips and what she could can, she'd put in those holes, and they'd keep all winter long.
Where was the hole at? Up under the house? Or?
No, it was in the garden. She'd make it, and she'd dig out a place, and then she'd put straw in that. And then she'd put straw over the vegetables with coffee sacks over that.
Over your root vegetables?
Yeah, the root vegetables.
Yeah.
And
that would keep until next year?
And that would keep as long as it lasted. We'd have to go to the garden, and I don't care how cold it was, we had to go get potatoes out of the hole and whatever we wanted to eat.
Oh my goodness.
But she canned her beans and beets, and she never could keep corn. She couldn't keep that. It wouldn't. We didn't know how to can it, I guess is what it was.
They used to make hominy, didn't they?
Yeah, hominy. They made hominy and kraut. Mom made she had big old churns, big old crocks.
The hominy, hominy is corn.
Yeah.
They soak it in lye or something, don't they?
They use lye to get the husk off.
And then it'll kind of swell up a little bit. And you can can that and keep it?
No, we had it. I mean, you put that in a churn just like you would the beets and the other stuff that we keep. Kraut.
So would she can a lot of stuff?
Oh, yeah. She canned the beans. We had to no kettle outside and build a fire, and Mom would put so many cans of beans in that and cook them so many hours. And I mean, that's where she canned.
What did you drink with your meals?
Milk.
Did you go to the dairy to pick up the milk?
No, we milked the cows. That was mine, Lena's job to milk.
How many gallons of milk would a cow give in a day?
Oh, about 2 gallons each, about a gallon each time.
Well, you couldn't drink 2 gallons of milk a day, could you?
No, a lot of times we gave milk away, or somebody'd come by and want to buy a quart of milk. Or I've took a many of a quart of milk up to Chess Rice's. Lena was his wife's name. 10 cents a quart. And I'd take it to her on the way to school. And she'd always tell me to stop down and get, when I come back, and get the jars, and she had them washed and ready to me to take home.
And you'd make butter too?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And of course buttermilk.
Butter and buttermilk.
Didn't have refrigerators. How'd you keep your milk cold?
Oh, and that dug well that I was telling you about.
So just drop
we
the
let
bucket?
that drop, put tie rope on the handle of the bucket and drop it down into that well, and it'd be just as cold as it would be in the refrigerator. We'd go get it like before we'd eat.
They also used to dry a lot of food, didn't they?
Yeah, dried beans and dried apples.
How would they dry the beans?
Mom would string hers up and hang them behind the stove. See,
like with a needle and thread, string them up?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she'd hang them behind the stove and they'd dry out.
Is that what we call shuck beans?
That's shuck beans.
And they last all year long?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they taste better than regular beans, too.
Yeah, I never did like them. I never did like shuck beans.
Ooh, I love shuck beans.
I know you do, because...
I remember Granny drying apples.
Yeah.
And
we had dried apples, and she'd make those stack cakes. Oh, Lordy, weren't they good.
So if you didn't have electricity and didn't have gas in your home, what did you heat with? I mean, how did you cook something?
We cooked with wood. The stove, Mom wouldn't let us put coal in the stove because it was too nasty. It's too dirty. It's bad.
The house up or something?
Yeah. And anyway, the wood stove, I mean, she'd get up in the morning before daylight and build a fire in the stove, and she'd holler in the stove, the biscuits go, and we all knew to get up.
So the stove had a cooktop on it and had an oven for biscuit. Mm-hmm. Did it cook as well as the stove we have today?
Everything tasted better. And I would love to have a wood stove. I really would.
Did your mom make cornbread?
Yes, she made that at least once a day, but she'd make enough for 2 meals.
You know, she's the one that spoiled Daddy. Daddy thought that he had to have cornbread every day of his life.
Oh, yeah.
And even after Mother died, Daddy would make cornbread every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had cornbread. We had biscuits of the morning, and we had cornbread.
Where'd you get cornmeal?
Took it to the mill to have
So it was corn that you raised then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd shell it out, and I took a miniver, got on a horse and took it miniver up to give them their jarrets to him to grind the meal.
On the stove, did it have a tank on it where you could heat water?
Yeah. That's the way we'd heat water to wash dishes and after each meal.
How about for taking baths?
That would be...
Is it true that back in those days when y'all were growing up, you didn't take a bath every day?
Oh, no. Maybe once a week. We'd wash, wash out and everything, but I mean as far as getting in a tub.
So you did have a bathtub?
No, we didn't have a bathtub. We had a wash tub.
Like a number 2 wash tub?
Like number 3, I think.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Pretty good size.
That's what we took a bath.
And so you
And she scrubbed me a minute of a time in that hair from my head to my feet.
Who did your hair back in those days? You didn't have a beauty salon to go to, did you?
No. We didn't even know there was one. No, Bessie McDaniel cut mine all the time because I had short hair.
Okay.
And she cut mine all the time.
How old were you when my dad left home?
Oh, Lance. Let's see. He went to the 3 C's. I must have been about 8.
Yeah.
When he was in the CCCs, they call them.
I think he got married at about age 25.
He got married in December before my dad died in March.
That would have been in the 40s.
Because Pearl would fry potatoes and put onions in it, and my dad just went crazy about it. He said, let her fry the potatoes, said they.
Y'all didn't fry them that way before?
We didn't fry them that way, we just fried the potatoes, didn't have onions in them, and he thought that was something.
You remember when he met her?
Yeah.
You remember where he met her?
I don't know, but I think it was at Puny's Playhouse. I'm not for sure.
Well, I remember them telling me that, and it was indeed. It was at Puny's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Was that a honky tonk or a nightclub?
Well, they had a jukebox and you could dance.
Okay. Where was it?
In Vernon Springs.
Well, what was she doing over there?
She was she got to coming over to Beatrice's and
was her half sister.
Lucy was her stepmother. You
Yeah.
know, and she used to come there. Now that's where she'd stay, like the weekend, and that's where I told met her at the Puny's Playhouse.
What did you think of her when you first met her?
I thought she was a pretty girl. I thought, ooh, she's pretty. And I kept telling her, I told that she was pretty.
Did you ever go over there and see where she came from?
Oh, yeah.
It was backwoodsy back there where she was from.
So, I went over there with her one time and stayed 3 or 4 days.
Oh, did you?
Because I got sick. Ida and Faye and I had a playhouse in a building across the road that they used to have. It was a cream station or a little store or something. I know they had that, still had that box of, what was it called? Infinity? The steakiness stuff there was. Acidity, that's what it was. And they would tie that around your neck and then keep colds away. And they still had a box of that. And ooh, that was the stinkiest stuff I ever smelled in my life. And we had a playhouse in that old store. And they had walnuts, but laid there all winter long, froze and everything. And we got to eat those walnuts, cracking them. And I got so sick.
Oh my God. I remember that old storehouse that was across the road. Yeah.
But Lord, I had the best time there was. And
do you remember her grandmother that was there and raised her?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, she died before I was born. I think she died in January before I was born, in November of that same year. So I have no memories of her.
She lived a long time. I don't know how old she was, but...
You thought she was old, but she was probably in her 70s. I'd say she was in her 70s when she died.
Yeah.
Probably about my age that I am now.
Well,
all the pictures I have of her, she had a real stern expression on her face.
She wore a white apron. I never will forget that white apron. It's as white as...
Oh, my goodness.
And Mammy Carmack had to have that white apron.
Oh, really?
I think that was a thing back then.
Now, I vaguely remember Mammy Carmack. I remember her being sick and there at the old home place where you were raised. I remember she was in bed in that back bedroom. And I remember they had a cane-bottomed chair turned upside down and had a pillow on it where she leaned back on it so she kind of set up.
Yeah.
How long did she live there with you all?
Back as far as I can remember. I said, Mom had her and she had Melba. Of course, she raised Melba. Like Melba said, well, grandmother clothed her, but Aunt Bernie raised her. She always did say that.
Who was Melba's mother?
Lucy. Lucy Wolf.
Where was she?
She died when Lucy was 3 years old. And Uncle Carlo would... See, they had 2 kids. They had a little boy that was just 3 or 4 months old. And he died after Aunt Lucy did.
And so Melba, as a little girl...
And Melba was about 3 years old. I mean, as far as I can remember, Melba was with us. I mean, they'd move out.
So she was raised like a sister. She about your age?
She was 2 years older than I was.
Okay.
She was between Lena and Glenna.
Well, that was not a big house.
No.
I remember the two main...
All we had was beds.
Yeah. But was there an upstairs in that house?
No, well, there was, but it wasn't finished.
So where'd y'all sleep at? I remember there were two beds in that one big room in the back, side by side. And it looked like they were cast iron bedstead.
Bed or two beds in one bedroom in that front bedroom. And then the other one, there was one bed.
Now, do you remember those old iron
Yes, I
beds?
do. And Dale's got them now, Dale Barry.
Has he got both of them?
Yes. No, he's got one of them. Wanda's got the others. Well,
Tiny little house, but
there was 7 kids, and my mother and daddy, and then Melba and Mammy Carmack.
Wow.
She wouldn't go no place else. They'd move out, and maybe they might stay 2 months, and then here they'd come back.
Now, that was your mother's mother, and I'm sure she endured that pretty well, but how did your daddy feel about having his mother-in-law there?
I have no idea. I never heard him say anything.
Well, that many people living in a house, I'm surprised they were able to have any more youngins.
I was too.
Wasn't a whole lot of privacy.
Maybe usually slept right in the same room with them.
Oh, my goodness. So Daddy was the oldest child.
Yeah.
And he was the first one, I suppose, to get married.
Yeah.
And who was next? Cleo.
No, Cleo, but I was married before Cleo was.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about
a year.
How did you meet John Howard?
I don't know how I met him, to tell you the truth. He was in Burning Springs, and so was I. So I guess.
Is he from Burning Springs?
Yeah, but I didn't know him. I mean, never seen him before.
So how long did y'all court before you got married?
About a year, 2 years, or a year and a half, or something.
And where did you live after you got married?
Well, he was we was in Indiana for a long time.
What were you doing in Indiana?
He worked at a Morgan Packing Company. That's where his family moved to, was Salem, Indiana.
What did they pack?
Canning factory. It was a canning where they made, they labeled the cans.
His main career was military, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't satisfied doing nothing else.
When did he go in the military?
He went in the military when Olivia was 11 days old.
Was he drafted or he joined?
No, he joined because he could pick his branch of service. And
so that was the early days of World War II then?
Yeah.
Been about... Olivia's a little older than I am. I was born in 43. When was she born?
Olivia was born in 41.
41. So did he go in the military after Pearl Harbor was attacked or before?
Yeah.
It was after.
And he was going to be drafted, so he went ahead and volunteered and went to Randolphville, Texas, is where he took his training. And I stayed with Mom.
So what did he do in the Air? Was it the Air Force he was at?
Air Force.
What did he do in the Air Force?
He was a mechanic, and I don't know what all he did do, but anyway, during the war he flew the hump in the CBI, which is India, China, and Burma. He flew that hump.
Do you remember what kind of plane he flew in?
I know they had it at Wright-Patterson. I seen it, and I seen he was a rear gunner, and.
I mean, he sat in that little bubble in the back of the plane with a machine gun.
In the back with that gun that went this way. I mean, you could turn it either.
Probably the most dangerous place in that airplane.
Well, if the airplane went down, he'd had to go with it.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get out.
Did their plane ever get shot?
No, it was shot at.
Yeah.
And they would sneak up behind. You know, like if they was flying, and that was his job to. If they fired, he fired back.
Oh, my goodness. How long did he stay in the military?
It was 21 years or 22 years in the butt. I forgot what he said. And the butt meant it could mean 1 month or it could be 9 months or 11 months.
So you spent a lot of time alone. Just you
yeah.
and Olivia and then later Anda.
I didn't have Randy Kay till he come back from World War, when he come from overseas after the war.
But so what did he do after the war in the military?
Well, he was in radar. And I mean, I couldn't tell you what all he did do, but he still stayed.
Was he ever a recruiter?
Yeah, he was recruited for 2 years in Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Okay. So you lived in a lot of places following his military career around. Where was your favorite place to live?
I guess near Fort Knox, because it was Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. What's Fort Knox close to? Is that out by Louisville?
That's between Louisville and E-Town, what they call E-Town, Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Where was the girls? Where were the girls born at?
Oh, they both born in Olivia, and Kay was born in Oneida. Olivia was born at home in Burning Springs.
Burning Springs. Okay, I didn't realize that. How many years apart are they?
5 years.
Okay, let's go back to your childhood days again. Mammy Carmack, her first name was what?
Mary.
Mary, and her husband's name was?
William Henry.
William Henry. I've looked at some of the old records, the old census records that were made when my daddy was born, a little boy, and they referred to my daddy as William Henry McDaniel, a son of Chester.
Yeah.
How did he get attached to that name?
The doctors would name you just anything they wanted to name you.
But his name really wasn't William Henry.
No. She named, well, I think it was, did she have, no. Otis's name was supposed to have been Chester Otis.
Yeah.
And they had it Delbert Chester. My name is Emma Marie, but mine was Geneva.
But your mama never called you Geneva?
No, that was not my name. And I had to have it changed to see when everybody had to have when they got their social security number, you had to have your right name to get your social security.
Okay, Grandpa Carmack, William Henry Carmack, did you ever know him?
No.
So do you know anything about him? What he did?
I don't. He was, she called him a drummer, which was, he went on horseback from store to store taking orders.
So a drummer drummed up business.
Yeah,
he didn't play the drums.
No. No, he didn't play the drums. But that was...
Okay, Mary Carmack. What was her name before she was married?
Hacker.
So we're related to the Hackers.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a boy, there was a guy named Dude Hacker who was my barber.
That was my mother's nephew.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that. I just knew he was my barber.
That was Mammy Carmack's brother's son. That was Uncle, what was his name? Sam, wasn't it? Sam Hacker. Yeah.
So we're related then to the Hackers and the Carmacks.
And Delamay was a Hacker. But it's back now. Her daddy was Uncle Morg Hacker's son.
Okay.
That was Mammy's brother.
I keep hearing the name Ponder. How are we related to the Ponders?
My Grandma McDaniel was a Ponder.
Levada Ponder McDaniel.
Levada Ponder McDaniel.
Were there other Ponders living around there when you were growing up?
Yeah, Uncle Sampson. And he had a bunch of kids, but Lord, I couldn't name them.
When we first moved to Florida back in the 50s, there was a Ponder guy that Daddy would go visit in Melbourne, Florida. Who was that?
That was my mother's cousin.
You remember his first name?
Roy Ponder.
Roy Ponder. He had a little motel, a little restaurant up there.
I don't know what he done, but.
All right, let's talk about your other siblings. You got married before the other girls, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you were the next to the youngest girl, right? Mm-hmm. Glenna was older than you?
Oh yeah, Glenna was 4 years older than I. Lita was 2 years.
How did Glenna meet Uncle Estel?
I think she met him in Ohio or.
Was he from Ohio or
No,
from
no,
Kentucky?
no. He was from down on Laurel Creek.
Where's Laurel Creek?
Down towards Oneida, that Route 11, like where the nursing home is.
Okay. So I didn't realize he was...
I mean, he was... Anyway, they had a house now. You talk about a bunch of kids. I mean, Estelle had brothers, and a lot of brothers and sisters.
Do you remember the first time you saw him?
I was after they got married.
He was a remarkable person.
Yes, he was a fine gentleman, I'll tell you.
He lived to be way up in his 90s. How old was he?
He was 95.
95. I visited him in his home the year that he died. Mine was crystal clear.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Still.
I was up there when Edie died. I went and stayed there, Sandra and I. And he was just as bright as he could be. And then 2 weeks later, his wife died.
Yeah.
Betty.
Yeah.
And then I said there was 4 of them in less than a year out of that family.
Yeah.
It's gone.
So the ones that are left now are Danny and Dale. That's it.
Danny and Dale. And
Betty Jo, who
Betty
was about
Jo's
my age, she died this past year.
She had Mickey, and I said, Mickey's the one that comes here. He brings that little boy.
Yeah.
Bless its heart. He loves me to death, that kid does. And always has. When he was just little, and he'd scoot around on the floor, and the first year that he went to school, Laura and I was up there, and he was, she was the first one that gave him the $1. Anyway, he was taking up money for something for the school. I mean, just pretending, you know.
Yeah.
And Mickey tried to make him give it, and I said, if they're dumb enough, I said to give him the money. I said, keep it. Because he was getting $1 from Laura, and one from me, and one from Estelle every time he'd make the rounds. Till I run out of dollars.
Yeah. So when Aunt Glenna married, did they move immediately up to northern Kentucky, up near Cincinnati?
No, they lived in Cincinnati, because he worked in Cincinnati, Estelle did.
What did he do then?
He worked for that same company.
Soap company that he worked for until he retired.
Yeah. DuBois or something was the name.
And his boys do that too, don't they?
I think so. I think Danny does.
Danny
I don't think Dale does. I don't know what Dale does, to tell you the truth.
All right, how about Aunt Lena? How did she meet
Well,
her
now
husband?
she met
Uncle
met
David?
him through Ann. See, Ann married Jim. Our cousin Ann married Jim Petrie.
Okay.
And
Ann was one of Uncle Tom's girls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And she married Jim, and David was in service, and he had come. I don't know if he got out or what, but that's the way Lena met him, was at Ann's.
But was he raised in Ohio or Kentucky?
No, Kentucky.
Where in Kentucky? Here?
He was. John knew him because he used to go to school with him in Berea. They lived in Berea.
Okay.
But
Uncle David was a delightful person to be around. I always enjoyed being around him.
He was too quiet.
Yeah, but he had a funny little sense of humor and a funny little laugh.
Yeah.
So when did they move to Dayton, Ohio?
That's where they met in Dayton. She was working in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
When he come home, and Ann lived there, her and
Okay.
Jim.
So Lena was up there living with Ann?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she met Jim. Well, I don't know. I don't think she was living with Ann at that time, but they all roomed together. Edith Robertson and Lena and Ann before Ann got married.
What kind of work did Aunt Lena do?
She was a beautician.
Beautician. Okay.
But she went to school after she and David married.
Okay.
But she was working at McCoy's or something like that. Anyway, it was a magazine.
Okay.
Where they made the magazines.
Uncle David, he worked for National Cash Register, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, then he worked for a stove company too.
Okay.
Because I've got an ashtray out there on the porch that Donnie uses when he comes down here.
They had 2 children.
Yeah.
Glenna was a little younger than me.
David.
And David. David was a little younger than her.
I've not heard from David, but somebody told me that he was. I guess it's Aunt Kay that she gets him on internet.
I see him on Facebook.
Facebook or whatever.
And I see Glenna on Facebook too.
He's been all over everywhere playing music. David has.
Yeah, I knew he was a guitar player. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Aunt Cleo. She got married, moved to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, now don't ask me where. Well, now she met Bill in Hamilton. She was in Hamilton.
Okay.
And let's see, he knew Fred, Eve, and that's where and she knew, and that was John's. Anyway, he married John's niece.
Yeah. Bill Carkeet was his name.
Yeah.
He was a little different.
Yes, he was quite a bit different.
I remember he always had a bunch of hunting dogs.
Yeah. Oh, he was dog crazy, and so was Sandra.
And they had several children. Of course, Sandra was the oldest. Sandra is next to my sister.
Yeah.
Of the grandchildren, my sister Janet was first.
Olivia.
Then it was Sandra.
No,
Olivia,
then
Sandra, then me.
And you, and then Betty
Jo.
Jo.
No, Betty Jo first.
Betty Jo, and then you.
Then me, yeah. Okay. So they had Sandra, and they had Billy. And
Aaron.
Mildred Janelle.
Aaron and Janelle.
And Aaron.
And Aaron's the baby.
Aaron is the baby. Okay. Let me stop this just a minute. I gotta. Okay.
Yeah.
So they raised their family in Pennsylvania and Southern Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. Georgie's the baby girl.
Georgie's the baby.
And she was the last one to leave home, I suppose.
Yeah.
She younger or older than Otis?
She's younger. Georgie's younger. 2 years younger than Otis.
And so she married Uncle George McQueen. How'd she meet him?
Don't ask me. I don't know. In Burning Springs, I guess.
Was he from Burning Springs?
Yeah, he's from Robinson Creek, what they call Robinson. That's below Burning Springs.
So when she married him, she moved to Robinson Creek? Or
oh, yeah. Well, Lord have mercy, I wouldn't have lived where she lived for nothing in the world. It was almost in Jackson County.
Was it like a dirt road to get to it?
Yeah. And the creek that you had to, you cross that creek, I don't know how many times, that you had to wade in the water or step on rocks to get across. Me and Mom went up to Georgia.
How'd you get there?
Walked. I mean, we rode so far, because I drove so far and then had to walk on. You couldn't drive it. It's the end of the road. Or something, I don't know.
I remember going there when I was a little boy. And I don't remember a whole lot about it, except it was a bad-looking old place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was his... I think they moved in after... I don't know where they moved in or they was living with the McQueens. I don't know. But now they lived in a house, an old house, 2 rooms. A kitchen and a bedroom is what they had.
And they started having children back there.
Yeah.
Their first one was Donna Jean.
Donna.
Who's a little younger than me.
Well, she did. Georgia miscarried the first time she got pregnant. Because she was at Mom's.
You know what I remember about Aunt Georgie? She was a great cook.
Yes, she was.
She made great cakes and pies and stuff like that. Well, anyhow, they had Donna Jane and Daryl, and then there were 2 girls, Sherry and Willa. Sherry the older of the 2 girls?
Donna is the oldest.
No, I know Donna, but...
and then Sherry, let's see, Donna, and then Daryl, and then Sherry, and then Willa's the baby.
Donna married a Baptist preacher.
Yeah.
Daryl went into business. He was like heavy equipment, wasn't he?
Heavy equipment. And his mind is so much better.
Yeah, he had a problem a year or so ago.
Oh, yeah. He
had a stroke?
He was bad. He didn't know... he didn't know that I was went to see him, or he didn't remember being in the hospital over here.
Was he able to work now?
No. But he's back to driving. I mean, he drives little grandchildren. They've had a time with that daughter of theirs, bless her heart, doped, and then he's got a wife that gets higher than I don't know what. I mean,
Sherry was a school teacher?
Yeah.
How about Willa? What'd she do?
No, Sherry wasn't a teacher. She was a nurse.
A nurse.
Nurse.
Okay.
Donna was the teacher.
Donna was the teacher. What did Willa do?
I don't know what Willa does.
Well, let's talk about your baby. Let's talk about your baby brother.
Otis.
Otis was a delight in my life when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
I lived for the times that Otis would drop by and stay a while with us.
Yeah, well, he'd drop by and stay with all of us, I guess.
Yeah, he was a traveling guy. He was in the Army for a while. He was a cook in the Army, played guitar and sang.
Yeah.
But he had the personality of a celebrity.
Oh, yeah. I said everybody liked him.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Everybody thought the world of him.
Yeah. He gave me my first guitar. It was an old Sears and Roebuck silver tone guitar. He showed me a couple of chords, and he was going to go on doing something else, and he said, I'll leave it with you. When I get back, if you can play a song, it's yours. And so that's how I finally learned how to play the guitar.
Oh, bless his heart.
Otis could always get a job as a cook.
Yeah. He could get a job when nobody else could. I mean, doing anything. I mean, he could talk his way into anything.
Okay.
Where he'd ever done it before in his life, yeah, I know all about it. He come to my house. We was living in where was it? Bellefontaine, Ohio. He come to my house. Lord, he was so sick. And I said, Otis, let me take you to the doctor. I'm not going to no doctor. I said, he had an earache. I only had the office ear I've ever seen in my life. And he laid in bed, and I carried his meals to him in that bed for a solid week. Burning up with fever, and he wasn't going to go to no doctor. And finally that busted, and I never seen so much stuff in my life that run out of that man's head.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Lord, that had to have been killing him.
Yeah. When he was a young man in the military, did he marry or maybe have a child by a German girl?
Yeah.
Did he meet her in Germany?
He met her in Germany. Betty was her name, and she named the baby Verna Marie.
Wow, after my grandmother and my aunt. Or you? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Verna Marie.
Did you ever see that child?
No. Seen pictures of her, and Betty come to my house.
Oh, really? Does she live in America now?
I think she does, but I don't know where. But anyway, I lived at Aunt May's house in Maroon Springs, and Mom come up there and she said, Marie, she said, Betty is in the States and she's coming. Said she's coming down here to see it. She said, I can't keep her, but you can without people knowing. And they'll think, well, she's some of your friends because of.
See, that would have been a reproach and an embarrassment back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Not today.
And I said, well, that's all right with me. And we had fun. I mean, I love Betty. But anyway, after John was discharged, after the war, he was overseas at that time. It wasn't no war. But he come home, and I was living at Aunt May's. And anyway, he was going to sign up for something in Manchester. I don't know, it's Social Security or I don't know what, some kind of something he was going to get for being out, for a while. But he didn't stay out but about 2 months, and right back into service he went. Because he couldn't find nothing to do.
Oh, my goodness. Did Otis actually marry this Betty?
No.
Just had the child.
Just had the child. Now, he lived with her all the time he was in Germany. And loved her, Lord have mercy, and she loved him.
I've heard stories about my grandfather, your dad, having a child by somebody else. Is that
Yeah,
true?
well, that was supposed to have been true. Now, he left home. Now, I can remember that. I mean, of course, Glenna and I know was with Mom the day that he left. And there was a car that drove up, but it didn't drive in the driveway where we always, where everybody else did. It went down on the kind of a bank like that you couldn't see. And she was in the car. And he come in, Mom had dry cleaned his clothes, his suit, and he come in, got his white shirt on, and got his suit on, and his tie.
So he put his suit on, dressed up, and he left.
And he left.
Did he ever come home after that?
Nope.
Where did he go to?
He went to Ohio. Went to Aunt Mert's. Aunt Mert kept him and that girl up there, both of them, for a while. Cleo went to see him, but she didn't see her because she hid.
So no idea whatever happened to that woman?
No.
Surely she's dead by now. I mean, that's a long time ago.
I did know her name, but...
And you don't know whether they ever had a child together?
Well, she was pregnant at the time that when he left. I mean, she was 7 months pregnant when he died. So
as far as you know, he never divorced your mother?
Oh, no.
So how long did he live after he did that?
I'd say maybe a couple or 3 months.
Oh, really? That close? And what killed him?
Pneumonia and emphysema and I don't know what all. I mean, that's what the death certificate had on it.
Daddy always said that your dad, his chest was kind of caved in, and he had respiratory problems when he was little. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
I don't remember it. I know he'd cough and cough and cough, and I can remember that.
Yeah.
Because, I've woke up and I've heard him coughing and coughing in the night, you know.
So when he died, did that woman take the responsibility to bury him, or did they bring his body back?
No, his body was brought back.
Do you remember the funeral they had?
Oh, yeah. They had him at home. They didn't have him at the funeral home. He was embalmed in Cincinnati, and he was brought, Uncle Tom was in charge of the body.
Okay.
And anyway, he went and got him, and they brought him by train in Manchester. And Uncle Tom went and got him. Now, I've got all that. I've got all that, the papers on that.
Wow. And
he brought him down home. I said they had him in that front room. I never will forget it.
When he left home, how was your mother and the family supported? Where did she get money to live on?
She didn't have money. She would rent her tobacco ground out, and then she would get half of what they wanted, you know, to you guys stop.
I'll let you. So okay. She got half of his Social Security.
No, well, there wasn't no Social Security.
No Social Security.
There was no Social Security. There was nothing.
So where did she get any money from?
Oh, well, like I said, she rented out the tobacco, and she got paid once a year like everybody else. And we raised everything we ate.
Yeah.
And if we got anything, we had to go to Uncle Jim and Aunt Dory's store and get it and charge it. And then when she'd sell the tobacco, she'd
go settle the bill up.
Settle. And then Cleo would send her. Cleo was making $8 a week, and she'd send Mom $5.
Oh my goodness. How about the other grown children? Did Daddy do anything?
Glenna went to Ohio then, and she got a job. And Lena graduated. Lena's the only one that finished school.
Yeah.
And soon when she graduated, she went to Glenna then in Hamilton, and they both worked at one of the hospitals, Fort Hamilton Hospital, I believe it was. I'm not sure. But they both worked there till Glenna met Estill somewhere. I don't know where she met him, but
Wow.
and
Do you know if my dad ever sent any money back to help her?
I don't know. I know he when he was in the 3 C's, he bought me a coat one year.
A coat.
A coat. I never will forget it. It was a maroon colored coat. Mom ordered it from Spiegel's, but Otto paid for it $8. I think he's getting about $21 a month.
Well, I guess that was pretty good money back then.
It was. I mean, for a young boy, that's the best thing that he could have done. I mean, really and truly.
Was that before he got married to my mother?
Yeah.
What did he do after he married my mom?
They've done a little bit of everything. I mean, they both tried to work. I mean, they got a job somewhere milking cows. They'd like to kill them.
Yeah, I heard him tell about that. He hoed corn too.
Hoed corn, and I mean, just anything to make.
He had an uncle, he told me, that taught him, number one, how to drive a car, and then how to work on cars, and he became a mechanic. Do you know what uncle that would be? His name was Peters.
Uncle John Peters?
Yeah.
Yeah. In California. I mean, he moved to California.
No, there was somebody right there in Burning Springs.
Oh, I don't remember. I mean, but I know Johnny Peters. I mean, was that his name? That was Aunt Laura's husband.
Yeah. Well, somebody had a garage there in Burning Springs.
I think he went to Kingston, Kentucky, and worked on cars there. Somebody that some I don't know what relative it was, but it was a relative that had this garage in Kingston, Kentucky.
All right, Aunt Marie, I've got about an hour of video of you here.
Oh, Lordy.
And if I outlive you, I'll show some of it at your funeral, I guess. I hope the Lord will come before we have to do that.
Land sakes. That's a long time, I hope.
I hope it is too. Let's talk about Georgie right now. Georgie, we go see Georgie from time to time when I come up here.
Yeah.
And she always knows you.
Yeah, she always knows me. Every time that I've went, that I've caught her awake. If she's asleep, you can't wake her up. Yeah. You just absolutely can't.
They probably give her a lot of medication to keep her.
I guess you do. I don't know. But I was surprised to see her up and
she knows me most of the time.
And that just tickled me to death to see her.
Yeah.
I mean, up talking and then she grabbed Annette, and I'm going to keep Larry's wife. She had her both hands on her around her wrist. She was really holding on, I'm going to keep.
And she knew who I was.
Yeah, but she kept looking at Annette, and I said, "Do you remember Annette?" And I said, "Larry's wife," and then she got to saying Larry's wife, Larry's wife. She wasn't saying that.
Well, I was up here one time, and you and I went over there to see her, and of course she called my name.
Yeah.
And knew exactly who it was, and asked about Daddy, and asked about Mother, and how they doing. I said, they doing good. They done good. Of course, they both dead at the time. But later that day, we went over and saw Daryl, her son, and I told Daryl that she always knows. And he said, that makes me mad, that she don't know one of her own youngins. But she always brightens up when she sees you.
Yeah.
Well, you and her are the only ones left.
Only ones that's left.
And she has Alzheimer's, and you're the only one that can give me the information that you've given me today.
Well, I hope I'll give it right. I said, to my knowledge.
Can you think of anything else that I need to know?
No, not really.
Your mother had a sister that was very close to our family, Aunt Lil.
Aunt Lil, yeah.
And she married a guy named Alex Rollins.
Yeah.
Where was he from?
Clay County.
Really? Wow. Okay.
See that Delmy, the little woman, as you all call her. Anyway, she married a nephew of Uncle Alex.
Oh, really?
Anyway, his brother Ed Rollins, that I said, I still don't know why that he never did. I mean, he had a bunch of brothers that lived in Clay County. And he never went to see them. I mean, he always come to Mom's and stayed.
Really? Uncle Alec was a gentle person. I always liked him. And I spent a lot of time at their house in Hamilton. That house on North B Street.
Yeah. I can remember on when they lived on Star Avenue, too.
Yeah. I remember when I lived on Star Avenue.
Yeah, and Cleo and Bill lived on Star Avenue.
Yeah. And Clarence and Jean lived in that same house.
Same house.
On Star Avenue. All right, can you think of anything else that I need to know about?
I can't think of nothing else. I don't know of anything else.
Uncle Tom, he had some children that I knew. I got to meet T.C., his son.
Yeah.
T.C. would be Thomas Cornett, I guess.
Yeah.
Named
No,
after
when he went into service, he didn't know what the C stood for, and he said, let's see, wasn't Cornett. It was, what did he call it? And that's why they've got his birth certificate.
I just always heard him called T.C.
Cornett, but it's T.C.
He was a medical
Thomas
doctor.
Cornett. He was named after Grandpa.
He had a brother who was a pharmacist. Is that right? Forster?
Forster, yeah, that was the youngest one who was killed in the car wreck.
Yeah. And then there was Mark.
Mark. Now, he run a service station and had a garage and everything.
And there was another younger brother. What was his name?
Let's see, Uncle Tom. He had Rex.
Rex.
He worked in, that was the cause of his death, was that on those ships during the war.
Really?
And that asbestos.
Okay.
Asbestos.
Anyway,
he couldn't cough. Because if he did, his lungs would start bleeding.
Oh boy!
And it would just cut all to pieces, and that's what killed him.
Goodness. Now there were some girls in that family. We talked about Ann, who married Jim Petrie.
Yeah, and
there was Grace. Grace lived to be how old?
104.
And she drove.
She drove 1 week of being 104.
She drove right up until she was really old.
Yeah. She was about 98, 97, 98, somewhere in there before.
The last time I saw her, she lived in Dayton, Tennessee. And she played the piano. She could play ragtime piano.
Yeah.
There was another girl.
Lola.
She lived in Florida.
Yeah. And, of course, Ann, Laura. Now her granddaughter was here last week. And
is Laura still living?
Yeah. She had a picture of her, and I said she looked like a doll, but she was, sitting in a chair, and she was all dressed up, and that hair just so, and she had on, I said I've never seen her with so many bracelets and beads on. She's got Alzheimer's. And she said to Laura, she said, well, Granny said, where'd you get all that jewelry? And she says, I don't know. And her roommate said, she goes from room to room picking up everything that she and said they don't bother. They know that they'll get it back, and when they want it, they go back to Laura's room again.
That's funny.
She said, well, I don't know.
You brought her to see us in Savannah one time.
Yeah.
We thought she was funny. Her husband's name was Mutt.
Mutt Samples.
Is he still living?
No, Lord, he died. I guess he's been dead 10 years.
Is T.C. still living?
As far as I know. And now he's 101, I think it is.
Oh my goodness.
He was the same age. His birthday's in May, the 3rd day of May. He was born the same year that Otto was.
Yeah.
Born.
Did he look like us?
Yeah.
In what way? Did he have the nose?
He had the nose. You can't miss that nose.
So people see the picture of me and you, and they ask what? Let me zoom in on that picture here.
He won't know if that's my brother.
Let me show the picture right here. That picture right there. We do look alike, don't we?
We got the nose. And I never thought Georgia had the nose. And they was talking about her teeth being out, so it made her nose look bigger.
Probably so.
And Sherry said, she can't wear her teeth, said she's lost so much weight that they're so big they won't stay in.
Oh, my. Otis's children. He's got some children that are here, right?
Yeah. He's, Gail lives in Burning Springs. Tommy's in Burning Springs.
Where does Gail work?
She works for a doctor over in, it's a clinic down on the Mile Stretch, what they call the Mile Stretch in Burning Springs, down below Burning Springs.
So, and Tommy was the youngest.
Tommy's the youngest. And I heard he was working, he and his girlfriend over here someplace. And I said, well, the only place I know that he could be working is that Walmart and distributed place out on 80. So I don't know if that's where he works.
There were 2 boys that got killed. One was murdered, one died in a fire. Is that right?
Yeah, smoke inhalation.
And then there was a girl that was handicapped.
She is still living, and she's in Somerset. At a home of some kind? Well, she was in a home till they closed that home. And one of the nurses took her, and she talked to Wanda, and she said, and Wanda says that she has done more for that girl than anybody else has ever done. That she don't jab her down, she does sit still, and she tries to talk to you. But she knows her mama, and she knows Gail when the nurse brings her over.
Yeah.
And she has kept her overnight. Wanda has.
All right, how many of your nieces and nephews keep up with you?
All of them. Every niece and nephew I've got will keep. I said they come to me.
Isn't that great? Well,
I'm the only one they can go to.
You the only, you and Georgie are the only 2 that's left. And I told Annette, I said, I want to come up and make this video. I said, because, if she dies, I don't have anybody else to get any more family information from. It's all gone.
I give you what I can think of, so that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, we're at the point in our life when we have more people in heaven than we do here, Aunt Marie.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe you'll soon be there.
I'm headed there.
Yeah, well, I am too. Yeah, I am too.
And I've talked to my children. I said I've talked to them till. I said, Livia never did want to come down here. I mean, she just said, but now, and she asked Renee yesterday. So Renee was telling me last night, said, well, when do you get another vacation? And she said, why? Said, I'm not get one. She said, for a long time. See, she works for the school. Renee does.
Yeah. Does Olivia still work?
No, Lordy, no.
Does Anda work?
Yeah. Anda's working right now. She did work for Rite Aid. She's growing her Social Security, but she wanted to make, she said, well, I need something to pay for my medicine. And now she's working for Big Lots.
Okay.
Oh, but she said, I love it. She said, I love Big Lots. She said, it just...
Have you worked a lot?
No, I've not.
You just let Uncle John take care of you?
I worked for Wayne Reed for over a year in the grocery store as cashier.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sure did. And I wasn't even looking for a job, and he come to me big. Donna said, well, go get Aunt Marie. Said she'll work for you. So I worked for him for over a year. About a year and a half, I guess it was.
Well, I hate that Annette didn't come up with me today. She wasn't feeling very well.
Too. I love her to death.
And if Larry Wayne could have got off work, he'd have come.
I'm sure he would.
He said, be sure to tell you that he loves you.
Well, he knows I love him.
Yeah, he knows. It thrilled him when I told him that you got a picture of him in your house.
It's the great nieces and nephews that come and love me. And I said, just like little Chase said to his daddy, said, I think he said before it gets bad and before Christmas that we should go down to Aunt Marie's. Oh, and he told me what he told his dad. I said, well, Lord, he's awful good to that boy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that, Lord, he's gained weight.
Let me ask you another question about growing up. Did y'all go to church when you were growing up?
Oh, yes, we sure did in Sunday school.
Where did you go?
Burning Springs.
Which
that
church?
That was the Holiness Church back then. And your mother got it changed to the Church of God.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she sure did.
That's where we held your mother's funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. How long was that church there when you were born?
Yeah. Oh Lord, I can remember.
Was it a Pentecostal church then?
Yeah, it was what they call a Holiness Church. Yeah.
But it wasn't a part of any denomination.
None whatsoever that I know of.
Yeah.
But I said Tom Henson used to come there. I could remember him, big, tall, good-looking guy that preached and sung. Lord, he could sing. I know I said one time, I said, well, when I die, I said, I want him to sing. I want him to sing all the time I'm dead. And Elvie Butler said, well, that may be a long time. I said, not dead. I said, at my funeral.
When my mother got saved, I believe there was a man by the name of Brother Cadell, who was the pastor of that church.
No, he was in there holding a revival.
Holding revival. Ah, okay.
I've got, now in that old Bible that Aunt Kay took, there was a picture of him and his wife. I mean, on the thing that, on the Sunday school paper or church paper from somewhere. But they gave it to Mom.
I remember seeing them when I was a boy. They came to see us in Ohio.
Yeah. I
don't remember their first names, but the last name was like Cowdell, Cowdell. Cadell, yeah.
I can remember them real well. So yeah, Mom didn't get to go to church because Mammy wouldn't go, and I said she'd have to stay home. I said Mom had a hard life, I'll tell you, with Mammy, but she never made you never heard her say she was disgusted or anything. But I mean, I look back now. I mean, Mammy was a mean old lady, I'll tell you.
Daddy never had a good opinion of the Carmacks. Oh, it was the hackers. So Mammy Carmack was a hacker. Yeah. But he said they were freeloaders. They'd come in.
Freeloaders. Mammy Carmack was lazy. Now, she wouldn't do nothing. I mean, sit there and maybe rock a baby or something. I mean, that.
I remember when she died, they cut her pillow open and they found a crown of feathers in there. Did you ever see that?
Yeah. Now, Georgie had that, but I don't know what
somebody still got it. They had it in a little white box.
But see, Georgie's stuff is all gone. Everything that she had.
Well, they used to say that they'd cut your feather pillow open if there was a crown of feathers in there, it meant you went to heaven.
Yeah.
But I saw it. I mean, there was a little crown.
Yeah.
And when I say a crown, it wasn't like a crown that a king wears. It looked like the crown of your head, a swirl.
Like it was circled, and it was like it was knitted together.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, you couldn't pull it apart.
But that doesn't give us the assurance that she went to heaven.
No.
Maybe if you just wallowed her around on a pillow long enough, all of them would get better. All right, our time's running out. I got 2 minutes left on this, and we'll have to quit.
Oh Lord, I didn't know. I thought you'd already quit.
No, it's still going.
Oh, land's sake. So I don't know. I said it's, and Otto always thought, well, maybe Carmack took advantage of Mom too. So, yeah. But she did. I mean, it was.
Well, you're doing okay. You're living here in your little townhouse, and it's always spotlessly clean,
Lord,
and it's beautiful.
I noticed that table this morning. There's little marks. Cindy Baker's here with her grandson, and he was 3, and he's. I said the glass has got his little finger all over it.
Well, do you love the Lord?
I sure do.
Plan to make heaven your home.
Sure. I just hope nothing gets in my way.
Well, you'll get to see Uncle John there. Wasn't it wonderful that he accepted the Lord before he passed away?
Just before he died. In July, and he died in November.
Wow. Could you tell a change in him?
Oh, yeah. Your mother said she could tell the difference. She said, you didn't have to tell me. She said, when I seen him, she said, I knew that he was saved.
Thank God. You preach to your girls?
Yes, I do. I know they get tired of it, but I preach to them. And Olivia will agree to everything you say to her.
Yeah.
I mean, just... Well, Renee.